Home sellers, if you're selling your home, beware of the requests from home buyers after they put the offer in that sound completely innocent, and 99% of realtors never warn you about them. Well, I'm gonna let it all here. Let it all out. Talking about harmless favors. Sound harmless, like storing a few boxes in the house before settlement, or bringing along a contractor cousin 3 weeks before settlement, or letting buyers move in just one night early that can legally and financially destroy your sale. Because here's what no one tells you, these innocent requests can cost you thousands of dollars, delay your closing for months, or even give buyers legal rights to your house before they even own it. So I'm going to share these 10 things you should never agree to as a seller, and stick around for number 7. It cost a friend of mine about $15,000 in 4 months of legal hell, all because she said yes to one simple request that seemed totally reasonable. Let's get to it. Okay, here's the thing. You might not know this, but 82% of all home sellers had surprise expenses when selling their home. 82%. That's not a typo. And even crazier is sellers who did not hire an agent are 2 times more likely to report unexpected costs than those who did. But even with an agent, people are still getting blindsided because nobody tells about sneaky little favors that seem harmless but can cost you thousands. More than 1 of 4 home sellers, that's like 26%, are not satisfied with the cost of selling their home. And a huge chunk of that dissatisfaction comes from hidden gotchas. And listen, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to save you from mistakes I see people make every day, because selling a home should feel exciting, feel like you're getting taken advantage of, every time you turn around. Number 1, the surprise doorbell. What that is an unannounced door knocker who just wanted to peek into your home. This one gets me really upset, and I tell my sellers never let anybody in this house. You might be sitting in your pajamas watching Netflix, and ding dong, there's someone at your door claiming to be the buyer's uncle or business partner, just happened to be in the neighborhood and wants a quick peek inside. They may sound super charming, but I'm sorry to bother you. I know this is unusual, but I'm helping my nephew with the purchase, and I just want to see the kitchen real quick since I'm a contractor. No, absolutely no. Everything goes through your realtor, and your realtor should tell you never have anybody come to the door and never talk to anybody but me or their team. Why is that dangerous? First, you have no idea who this person really is. They could be casing your home for a robbery. And yeah, that actually happens. As soon as you put your sign on your lawn, you're open for all that. And second, they're not on your insurance. They could get hurt. And third, they could be documented things to use against you later in negotiating. I had a client who let a cousin walk through, and guess what? 2 days later, the buyer came back demanding $3,000 off the price because this mystery person found a loose floorboard. A loose floorboard. We later discovered that they actually stepped on it and damaged it themselves. Rule of thumb, all showings go through your agent, period. If someone shows up unannounced, you smile sweetly and say, I'd love to help, but please contact my agent to schedule a proper showing. And close the door. I won't even open the door. I don't even open the door if people knock on my door. Number 2, the sneaky storage request. What does that look like? Well, that looks like a question like, can I just leave a few boxes in your garage until closing? It sounds really innocent, doesn't it? The buyer's like, we're moving from out of state and our pods don't arrive until after closing. Can we just store a few boxes in your garage? We'll be super careful. No, and no. Because what no one tells you about this seemingly sweet request is that first, their stuff is in your house. You become responsible for it. If there's a flood, fire, or theft, guess who they're going to blame? You. And your homeowner's insurance probably won't cover their belongings. And second, I think more legally, in many states, once someone stores personal property in your house, they can claim tenant rights. I'm not even kidding here. They can potentially delay your closing or even sue you if something happens to their stuff. And you don't even know what stuff they're putting in there. It could be storing drugs. You don't know what they're putting in there. And the other part is I've seen buyers use this as a manipulation tactic. They say, well, our boxes are already there, so surely we can move the closing date up, right? No. Or they might say, since our stuff is there anyway, we'll just start staying there a few nights before closing. Your home is not a storage unit, and they're not coming in a few nights before closing. If they need storage, they can rent a $50 storage unit at U-Haul. So what does your agent respond? You don't respond, the agent does. We all understand their challenge, Mr. Buyer, but for insurance and liability reasons, we can't allow any personal items in the home before closing. I'll be happy to recommend some local storage options, and always want to say, my lawyer said, won't allow it. And meanwhile, you won't even have a lawyer. I always do that, to say, my lawyer said they can't do it, something like that. Sounds better. Number 3, I call it the furniture free-for-all. When buyers start quote unquote borrowing your furniture like it's a rental service, well, it's like an epidemic. So for example, your buyer might fall in love with, with your staging or for your furniture, the way it's staged, and suddenly they start making requests like, can we just keep the dining room table? We'll pay you for it. Or that couch is perfect for the space. What would you sell it for? And why this gets messy really fast is, first, you're not a furniture store. You don't have prices, warranties, or return policies. And second, once you start negotiating furniture deals, you're opening the door for them to nickel and dime everything else. I watched one of my sellers agree to sell their custom dining room set for $2,000. Sounds fair, right? But the buyers wanted the chandelier, the mirror above the fireplace, and the outdoor furniture. And before she knew it, she was basically running a garage sale out of her home sale. And she didn't want to do that. And she didn't want that be put in that situation. You don't want to be put in that situation. And the worst part really is what happens if they decide they don't like the furniture after closing. Are they going to come back to you? Can you take it back? Where are you going to store it? It kind of creates a relationship that extends way beyond your closing date, and you don't want to do that. Trust me, you do not want to extend any relationship with your buyer beyond closing. The better approach is, if they love your furniture, your realtor can say, I'm flattered, the seller flatters that you like it, but once we close, I'd rather be happy to share where I purchased these pieces. Keep it clean, keep it separate. Don't be offering. And then unless your furniture is for sale, maybe make a list of things. Here's what I want to sell it for, and then see what they want to buy. That's cleaner if you really want to sell it. But at the bottom should say, nothing else is for sale. Don't even ask. That's where a Real Deal Realtor comes in. And that's what I can do is help you find a Real Deal Realtor. Just go to Real Deal Agent. I'll vet them for you. They'll talk to me differently than they'll talk to you. And I'll get all the good stuff out of them and make sure they're the right person for you. Number 4, I call it the +1 parade. What is that? I call it random experts that are tagging along. Oh, here's my contractor, my cousin. He's a contractor. Mystic healers or something like that. I have so many stories about this one. It starts really innocent. My contractor friend wants to come look at the kitchen, but suddenly your showing turns into a circus parade. All these people come in. I've seen buyers bring contractors, interior designers, feng shui consultants, their mother-in-law who knows about these things, their friend who flipped the house once. And once I had a buyer bring a psychic to check the energy of the house. So we don't allow that anymore. So you may say, why is this a problem? It's a big problem. It's an additional risk, it's a liability, a security risk, and honestly, a negotiation risk. That contractor is going to find problems. That's why they're going there. That's what they're trained to do. They're going to point out every tiny imperfection, and suddenly your buyer has a laundry list of demands, or maybe they back out. I had one seller who allowed a buyer bring their construction expert uncle in. The uncle spent the entire showing taking pictures and measurements, then presented a 12-page report of necessary repairs. That's after we've done the home inspection, totaling $18,000. The funny thing is that half the stuff he listed wasn't even wrong with the house. He was wrong. He was wrong. He was just trying to give his nephew negotiating ammunition. Your new policy is immediate family members only and maximum 4 people per showing. You can say that's for insurance and security reasons. We limit showings to immediate family members. If they need professional inspections, they can be scheduled after they've accepted an offer. And if they're asking you to come in after they accepted the offer and after the inspections were over, that's a big no. Number 5, the post-closing pajama party. Buyers who want just one more night after closing. This one is a doozy. It's very dangerous and people fall for it all the time. Picture this. You're 2 days before closing, everything's going real smooth, and the buyer calls with a sob story, our lease ends tomorrow, but closing's not until Friday. Can we sleep there tonight, Thursday night? Or we'll bring sleeping bags. We promise we won't touch anything. The answer is no, 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 and hell no. And just say, my lawyer said no. You don't have a lawyer, who cares? You just said no. Why is this bad? I call it a real estate suicide. Once they're in the house before closing, they legally have occupancy rights. If something goes wrong with the closing, their financing falls through, that their title has issues, anything, you now have squatters in your house that you legally cannot remove. And I've seen this scenario destroy people financially. One seller I know let the buyers move in 3 days early. On closing day, the buyer's loan was denied because of a last-minute credit issue. But guess what? The buyers were already living there with all their stuff moved in. It took 4 months and $12,000 in legal fees to get them out. 4 months of paying mortgage, insurance, and utilities on a house someone else was living in. 4 months of legal battles. 4 months of hell. I get it, their moving situation stinks, but you can always put stuff in storage and sleep in a hotel. Their poor planning is not your emergency. So your response is, I completely understand how stressful moving can be. And unfortunately, talk to my attorney, and for legal insurance reasons, occupancy can only happen after the deed transfers at closing. I'm happy to recommend some short-term rental options in the area. Number 6, the never-ending favors. That's why I don't have my sellers talk with the buyers. Buyers asking, can you fix this? And you can throw that in. Basically what happens is it starts small because, oh, there's a tiny scratch on the hardwood. Actually, while you're at it, could you repaint the wall? And you know what? The bathroom could use a refresh. And then it goes on. No, you just don't want to get into that. Before you know it, you could be running around like a crazy person spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on repairs and updates that weren't part of the original agreement. Every time you say yes, they push a little further. I watched one of my sellers go from a simple $500 carpet cleaning request to completely renovating a bathroom because the buyer kept saying, well, since you're already doing work, and by the end she spent $8,000 on improvements for a house she was selling. Yeah. The buyer did pay back for some of that, but still, it was more of a hassle. Buyers will test your boundaries. Every time you say yes, they learn that you're a pushover and they push harder. It's just human nature. The solution here is just set boundaries early. When they ask for the first small favor to your agent, the agent just to say no. The house is being sold in the current condition as agreed upon in our contract. You shouldn't be saying anything to that buyer. If you'd like any changes or updates, we can discuss a credit at closing for you to handle those items yourself. Something like that. It's not mean, it's professional. You're not a renovation service, you're selling a house. Number 7, the off-the-market mirage. What is that? Well, serious buyers who convince you to pause showings and then they ghost you. I hate this one because it's happened to so many people that I know, but I wasn't the agent. I won't let this happen to you. Now, here's how it works. So you get a buyer who seems super serious. They're pre-approved, they've seen the house twice, and then maybe one time you were there and they start asking you all these kind of questions. You have to like the buyer. Oh, these will be perfect for my neighborhood. And they say, oh, we're definitely going to make an offer, but we need some more time with our parents this weekend. We need to see it one more time with them. Can we do that? Can you take it off the market till Monday so we don't lose it to another buyer? Well, if you have a lot of showing, that's very unreasonable. See, they want to protect their interests, but you need to protect your sale, and so does your agent. What really will happen is then Monday comes and then they need a few more days to think, or their lender needs more information or documentation, and then it's silence. It happens before, but I never even buy into that. I keep marketing the property, so to make sure that's why you want to make sure you have a real deal agent. We can help you find a real deal agent. Just go to realdealagent.com, find you a good one. So in that scenario, you lost a week of prime marketing time, and you know what happens in real estate during the first week. First week during which your home is listed will generally be the time that most eyeballs are on your home, and the largest potential pool of buyers will be exposed to the listing. So this is why you don't want to do that. This is the one I was telling you about. It's my friend Sarah. She fell for the scam. She took her house off the market for 2 weeks. Wasn't with me. She was selling her house in another state for a serious buyer. Kept promising the offers coming in. And then she was telling me about this. I'm like, you can't be doing this. And they did ghost her. She had to relist the property because it had been on the market before. And then buyers were assuming, there was something wrong with it. She ended up selling for $15,000 less than her original asking price. And her realtor wasn't working for her. So rule of thumb is your home stays on the market until you have a signed contract with earnest money, period. I understand why you're interested in our house, great. Best way to secure the house is with a written offer, but I'm going to be showing it to keep showing it to potential buyers until we have a signed agreement. That's what you say. Again, you shouldn't be saying anything. Your realtor should be saying all this stuff. Number 8, the no paperwork promise. Oh, we don't need paperwork. Let's keep it casual. We don't need all this legal stuff. Yeah, this happens, especially with for sale by owners. I've had for sale by owners where I took over where they had somebody with a verbal thing, and then they went to the title company, and the buyer said, no, we didn't say we were going to pay you that. We just had we had a handshake, and this is what we said. Maybe you're trying to save legal fees or something. These days, everything's done on paperwork. Most people know how to DocuSign back and forth. But I had an uncle who bought a house with just a one-page simple agreement. He goes, why do we need all this paperwork? Well, you need all the paperwork because your house is probably one of the largest assets that you'll own, and you don't want to give someone your car without a title transfer. Would you lend somebody, $50,000 without a contract? Of course not. 60% of for sale by owner sellers did not read and understand the entire purchase agreement during their home sale, and 43% made legal mistakes by not using an agent. And that's with paperwork. Imagine trying to do it without any legal protection at all. So you want to make sure everything's in writing. And most of the agreements are in writing today, but what if I think oh, you said you were going to leave the refrigerator when I talked to you at the house? Well, it wasn't in writing. I talked to a friend of mine who sold his investment property in New York with a simple agreement. It's going to save money. And he told me that 6 months later, the buyer stopped making payments and claimed the agreement was invalid because it wasn't properly notarized. And it took 2 years and $25,000 in legal fees to get his property back. That's why your home sale needs a proper purchase agreement, title insurance, escrow services, proper inspections, and legal documentation for everything. Nothing is verbal in real estate. If a buyer doesn't want to do this properly, they're either inexperienced or they're shady. Either way, run. Number 9, the neighborhood overshare. Chatty neighbors kill the deal with too much information. This one is a little funny, but it's also tragic at the same time. You know that neighbor, the one that knows everybody else's business and loves to chat? Well, they can absolutely torpedo your home sale without even meaning to. For example, potential buyers are walking around the neighborhood checking out the area, and chatty neighbor from next door spots them. She thinks she's being helpful by walking over and saying, "Are you looking at the Johnson's house? That's exciting. You know, they're moving because of a mold problem." Or, "Boy, they had that big flood last year. Did you see that in the basement?" Or it's just something. There's probably not a mold problem. Now your buyers think that you're hiding something major or some problem that's not really a problem. Or maybe that, like I was saying, the flooding, that flood, it was actually maybe a sprinkler malfunction that was fixed in 2 hours. Or that you had really loud parties, or daughter's graduation party and all the break-ins lately. Or, there was one package that package theft 6 months ago, or something. They just talk. I've seen it happen. A good sale fall apart because the neighbor told the buyers that the street floods every time it rains. The buyers backed out. They panicked. The truth, one storm drain got clogged during a hurricane 3 years ago, and it was fixed. But the neighbor made it sound like they needed to get a boat to go to work. The prevention: have your conversation with your immediate neighbors before listing. Explain that you're selling. Ask them to direct any questions from potential buyers to your real estate agent. Most neighbors are happy to help once they understand how their comments could impact your sale. And number 10, the invisible buyer. The mystery offer with zero proof of funds or financing. You ever have those? Or maybe the ghost buyer, someone who makes an offer but refuses to provide any proof they can actually buy your house. They'll say things like, "I'm a cash buyer, but I don't want to share my bank information until you have the deal." Well, that's not the way it works, because I want to see it. Just cross out your account number or get a letter from your bank. Or, "My financing is private, but I promise it's solid." Or my personal favorite is, "I'm a crypto investor and I'll convert everything to cash at closing." No. What's really happening is they either don't have the money, they're trying to tie up your house while they'll figure out how to get money and their financing, or they're planning to flip the contract to someone else without your knowledge. I don't know if you know that more than 9,300 people were victims of real estate fraud in 2024, totaling over $170 million in reported losses. And many of the scams start with mysterious buyers who won't provide proper documentation. Yes, I've seen sellers waste months with fake buyers. They take their house off the market, turn down legitimate offers, and plan their entire move around a closing that's not going to happen. So your protection, any offer must include either a pre-approval letter, a buyer's financial statement, or, and it has to be from a legitimate lender, proof of funds from a bank, no exceptions. Cash buyers need to provide bank statements. Have to show the funds are available or get a letter from the bank. If they can or they won't provide this basic documentation, not really serious buyers. Now, I know that some of you are thinking, this is all great advice, but how do I find an agent who actually knows about these tactics and is going to protect me from one of them? Here's the thing, not all agents are created equal. You need someone who's not just going to nod along when buyers make these ridiculous requests. Like I was saying earlier, you need an agent who's going to stand up for you and protect your interests every step of the way. And I can help you find one. Just go to realdealagent.com. Not just an agent, but an incredible agent. I personally vet them. I'm not going to hand them off to my referral partner who just looks for somebody and then hopes you sell it. We're actually really work with that person and guide them throughout the process using our systems. Yeah, that's what we do. You want to get top dollar, and my YouTube clients are going to get top dollar, protecting you from all these scams. So selling your home should feel exciting and empowering, not a constant battle against the hidden sharks designed to chip away at your profits and eat away at them. So now that you know these 10 sneaky moves, and maybe you have a copy of my Home Selling Sharks book or my Model Home Mindset book somewhere over here, this book here, Model Home Mindset, you can get the link down below. You're armed with knowledge to protect your investment, your timeline, peace of mind, and just say no to these unreasonable requests. Serious buyers will respect your boundaries and not push against them. And you cannot afford to overlook these things. You need to choose the right agent. Wrong agent can cost you tens of thousands of dollars. So before you even think about signing a listing agreement, watch my next video, Are You Losing Money Selling Your House? I'm going to break down the #1 mistake sellers make when hiring an agent and what top listing specialists do differently to get you the best possible price. Don't leave money on the table. Click over the video now. Protect every dollar you've worked for.